God. God, the final and ultimate orientation of every person is towards God. We have come from God, we are going to God. He is our beginning and end. God has created us in such a way that we are not limited by the boundaries of this world, and of our spirits seek union with this transcendent God, who underlies the totality of all things. Therefore, we can have consciousness of the presence of God here and now in this place.
Grant, realizing that we are not all powerful and realizing who we are, we ask with humility.
God, grant that you, the Spirit of the universe who underlies the totality of all things, agree to give
me, a powerless creature, separate and distant from others and from you.
God, grant me the understanding of myself which influences the way I see and interact with others and with God. God, grant me, your child, who humbly ask that you agree to give me
the serenity, a feeling, a state of being that is untroubled, calm, peaceful.
God, grant me the serenity. I can only have this serenity when my being is integrated, body, mind, and soul. And I can only be integrated in body, mind, spirit, when you, Spirit of the universe that underlies the totality of all things, underlies my very being, and you agree to give me that serenity.
To accept. We open our hands, our hearts, our minds, our spirit to accept unconditionally, without reservation of any kind, just as the tree accepts light from the sun, or the flower, the water from the clouds. We are to accept.
God, grant me the serenity to accept. Now that we have asked the Spirit of the universe that underlies the totality of our being to grant us the integrity of body, mind, and spirit, that we might experience serenity, we dispose ourselves to accept that integrity of self. We are oriented toward God and others, open to this encounter.
The things are objects that one need not, cannot give, and do not wish to give names to. We do not know yet what these things are. We are in total openness to these unnamed, unspecified things.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things. We are in a position of complete openness and orientation to accept the unnamed things with serenity, having been granted by God, who has agreed to grant serenity as the foundation of acceptance.
I cannot. If I cannot them, I am powerless, just as the sun cannot produce darkness, nor the clouds warmth. I am unable, have not the power or knowledge, and am able to exert the sheer force of my will.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Having been granted serenity, the fruit of the complete unity of mind, body, and spirit, untroubled, therefore I am open to accept as they are, as they unfold themselves, on their own terms and conditions, the things I cannot change. I have ceased fighting everything and everyone and ask for things I cannot change.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. The courage to accept these things I cannot change requires a willingness to do something that frightens me. The willingness to face difficulty without retreating. To be brave, dauntless in spirit, able to endure adversity. Courage comes from the word core, which means heart. Courage enlarges our heart, for to find them to engage all things. God grant courage. God grants courage just as he granted serenity.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change. The courage to change has already been received when we turned our will and our lives over to the care of God. The courage to change has been granted to us who are powerless creatures, creatures who cannot. Our acceptance of serenity and our acceptance of courage removes the fear that paralyzes, the spirit of cowardice, of egoism, and the insistence that we do it our way. The courage to change has enabled us to walk through the triumphant arch of freedom.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things. Having been granted courage, that wideness of heart, the stretch of spirit, I accept the many nameless things I have no power to change. Having the courage means also the willingness to let go of the desire, the need to change that which I cannot. These things I cannot change are first and foremost in myself. I cannot change my powerlessness over drugs, alcohol, and other addictions, nor can I change the necessity of recovery and the obligation to the program of recovery.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can. The courage to change the things I can has been granted since God has agreed to give me this type of courage. I am not paralyzed by fear of the desire for security, be it emotional security, financial security, relationship security, sexual security. If I need to change these things, I have the courage to do so. I also ask in this for the ability to change the things I can and to pray for the understanding of how to change them.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom. Wisdom, that perfect blend of love and knowledge and right judgment. This wisdom, too, is granted by God. God, grant me the wisdom. The wisdom is already granted in our fellowship, that body of knowledge and principles that are available to us at every meeting, in every encounter with another sober person, on every page of our literature. Wisdom is a light that shines now before our vision.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know. To know helps us discern, to be aware, to learn new information about ourselves, others, our world, God's will.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Having been granted wisdom to know, we ask what we do now know. We know now the difference. We see a contrast between God's will and our will, between God's plan for the human family and our plans. We see things differently, from a new perspective, no longer through the lens of self, but we see what is rightfully ours, others, or God's.
God,
Grant
me
the
serenity,
to know
the things
I cannot change,
the courage,
to change,
the things I can,
and the wisdom
to know
the difference.
All right, take a deep breath and we'll just come out of that. As you can see, there are a lot of ways to to bring prayer meditation into your life. We have a lot of prayers at our disposal. The big book and literature is filled with prayers we can use in our meditation to kind of go over in our minds again and again, and to get new meaning out of those words, out of those prayers. Or we could sit in quiet silence and allow our higher power to speak to us, whether it's through our intuition, through our imagination, or through words that may come to us, especially as we seek solutions to the challenges of our life. One of the big challenges that we face is all the roadblocks to prayer and meditation. So Edwina is going to go over some of them, and maybe today you could take an honest look at what they are and how they affect you and your ability to pray, meditate, to engage the 11th step on a daily basis.
Yeah, and we discussed our own little practices as well, because the practice changes over the years when you're in recovery and over the months, and you have to, for me, like as a mum of two, you have to adapt to what works for family life too. So when they were quite small, I might have to get up earlier, or now that they're older. So we find what works for us. Both Father John and I talked about our practices. They're completely different. Our lives are different. Our practices are quite different, but we both do them. And, just to, I get up in the morning and I do my thing. I've quite a busy mind, so I find silent meditation very difficult for me. I have to have something to focus on, and that's changed also over the years. And I change it up a lot. I do a lot of, quiet space walk and stuff, and I do a lot of sitting, listening to different literature and reading different literature and listening to different things. So it's like what Father John said at the start, it doesn't matter what we do, just once we do it. And mine has definitely changed over the years. And some of the questions we jotted down for people to ask, because I hear a lot, I've no time, I have to rush out in the morning, I have small children, I have to get up with the kids. And I remember when my kids were small and my sponsor saying to me, well, then you want to get up an hour before them, and that's the way it has always been for me. So we wanted just to look at the page here, the second page, just to go over yourself a couple of questions if that comes up for people. I haven't time to meditate, or I don't feel God near me, or I don't feel connected, or I don't, those kind of regular questions that come up. So some of those spiritual conditions, are you in fit spiritual condition? And some things to ask yourself, how much time am I actually spending on my practice? Like I put down my practice because a couple of hours in the morning is what I need to get me mind, in gear for the day ahead. I spend a lot of time on my own in the mornings, a lot of quiet time. So some of the questions were, how much time are you actually spending meditating? So we're going to ask everybody, there's no pens out there. I was meant to put a couple of pens out, so just to oh yeah, thank you. Because we are going to ask one or two people to maybe share some of these questions with us, some of their answers. So the first question was, how much time are we actually spending in the morning on meditation? Are you one of those people who jumps up out of bed in the morning, grabs a coffee and goes in the car and says, I'll say my prayers in the car on the way to work? That's not going to work. Is it someone that gets up and sits quietly? How much time are you practicing on your prayer meditation life in the morning? So the first one is your meditation. So just reflect that for yourself. The second one is, he's given out some pens. We can write these in. This will be good, because we want to ask one or two to maybe share that with us if they wouldn't mind after filling it in. Maybe we'll have one of the men and one of the ladies from the audience that would do that for us. So how much time do I spend in the morning meditating? Are you in fit spiritual condition? Notice it says spiritual, not physical, intellectual, financially, or sexually. Each day has 86,400 seconds. How much time am I giving to God? So write down your meditation. The next one, praying. How much time do I actually realistically spend praying? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, the wisdom to know the difference. Okay, God, look after me day. See you later. Run out the door. 30 seconds, or am I actually spending some time in proper prayer with God? Now, here's a good one. How much minutes per day do I spend texting? Other people, members, your man I met in the meeting last night, your woman I know from over there, him, her, them. How much time do I actually spend if I think about that texting other people each day? How much of my time am I given to scrolling through Facebook? Can you write that down? Guess. How much time am I given scrolling through news feeds on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or comparing my life to everybody else's? How much time am I spending watching the box sets, Netflix, Disney, movies, YouTube? What's the other one now? TikTok. Ashlyn. How much time? Good girl, she deleted it. David, am I spending reading the newspapers? How much time am I spending on my image in the gym, working out, pumping the guns, flexing myself in the mirror? I don't do this, by the way, but I'm looking at a few people who I know do. I heard somebody saying recently, in the gym, it's painful, like to lift the weights. Oh, it's painful because we have to put our bodies under that kind of pressure to get in physical condition. And prayer life and meditation life and time working on your insides is also uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable sometimes to sit quietly and meditate. It's uncomfortable, but it's like physical exercise. It has to be practiced and endured and done if you want to get in fit spiritual condition, like fit physical condition. Now, how much time am I spending working out? Okay, can we have 2 hands up who'd like to share theirs with us? Anybody? Ready?
Oh, it's a microphone. I've got 5 minutes of meditation.
What's your name?
Sebastian, and I'm an addict. I've got 5 minutes of meditation, and I upped it a bit. 1 minute on praying. I think I'm texting for about an hour. Not on Facebook or Twitter. I don't have a TV, so I don't watch it, and I don't work out. But I spend too much time in my shop that I could spend a lot better. Yeah.
Any of the ladies like to share? Yeah, just over here. Good throw.
I'm Tina, I'm an addict.
Tina.
So about 10 minutes in the morning for meditation. Prayer is 10 minutes. Texting is about 2 hours. TikTok. Facebook, 2 hours. TV is 3 hours. And I work out for about a half an hour a day.
Thanks, Tina.
Yeah.
I mean, when we look at that, where's the balance there? Where's the actual working on our relationship with God? If we were in a relationship with somebody else and they gave us 2 minutes per day and spent the rest of the day doing that, we'd have something to say about that now, wouldn't we all? Anybody else like to?
Okay, this is weird, isn't it? Vinny addict. Meditating 1 to 2 hours a day. Praying time 10 minutes in the morning. Texting 30 minutes. Facebook and Twitter 10 minutes. Watching TV or movies 1 hour. And working out 45 minutes every morning since the last 2,000 days.
How long have you been sober?
I've been sober 2,403 days.
All right. And do you regret any of those hours you spent in meditation?
Because because I'm doing a lot of frequency work through vibration of the universe, through chakra.
Cool.
And I'm balanced on 968 hertz,
Right.
which is the highest states of consciousness.
Right, so we're never going to regret the time we spend in prayer and meditation, right? We may regret spending 2 hours watching some stupid Netflix show or engaging in some obsessive scrolling or texting with somebody we've become emotionally dependent on. But we're never going to regret that. If you know, in the 12-step companion guide, if you have this, I know they sold out here of the books. They're going to be issuing a second printing October 1st, so it will be available. Right now, you can't get any until that date, and it'll be an edited version of this, but it goes through each step in a beautiful way. In the beginning of step 11, it reads thus: as drug addicts and alcoholics, we were always seeking relief from our troubled minds and compulsive obsessive thinking. Constant thoughts of using, scoring, hiding, lying, and covering up our misdeeds filled our heads. Drugs and alcohol would quiet our minds for a moment, but as the buzz wore off, the noise in our heads got louder and louder. We were trapped in a cycle of pure madness and insanity. By using drugs, we were seeking some peace or relief from that noise in a very destructive way. Peace of mind cannot be found using self-destructive methods. Prayer and meditation can provide the peace of mind we sought without all the negative side effects. In this chapter, we will explain the how and why of prayer and meditation. We also explore how these practices lead to an improved relationship with God, as you understand God, gaining freedom from self-will, and connecting to the power needed to do this is a worthwhile quest. So let the adventure begin. Prayer and meditation are the main ways we connect with our higher power. As we have worked our steps, we have learned that it is not our power that created the miracle of recovery in our lives. It was not us that changed. It was a power of good greater than us that helped us achieve what seemed impossible, and that was sobriety. We have taken the steps and done our part. We reflect upon what has occurred in and around us since we became willing in open our minds and hearts to the program of recovery. We can clearly see that something has been working for us, for our benefit, in a beautiful and mysterious way. So if you speak to any of the great spiritual masters or read them, the great, especially people who have lived years and years of meditation and meditative practices, they'll all tell you the same thing. There's no magic to it. There's no hocus pocus to it. There's just simply the discipline of doing it. And for the monks of different traditions, religious traditions, they all tell you the same thing. They spend hours upon hours, day in and day out, doing it to learn the practice and to allow it to penetrate their spirits and their souls and help them achieve the consciousness that they're trying to be granted through their meditation. So that's an important fact, because a lot of us will try to search around or we'll read different spiritual or meditative practices, and maybe we become overwhelmed by it. I can't do that. That's not my life. Well, no, it's not your life. You're as Edwina said, you're not living in a monastery and have all that free time available. But we do have some time, and we do have the ability to discipline ourselves and to structure our day in a way where we can make sure our prayer and meditation are just a normal part of that. Some days it's better than others, but the point is it's a daily routine that we have to learn to engage upon in some way or in some form. And it's not that we have to stay with the same exact thing all the time. We can change it up. The companion guide gives you wonderful examples of different types of practices, breathing meditation, mindfulness meditation, mantra meditation, examination of conscience meditation, centering prayer, forgiveness meditation, guided meditations, walking meditations, labyrinths, music meditations, light, going and gong and singing bowl meditations, loving kindness meditations, 11-step prayer meditations. So there's almost an unlimited supply of ways and techniques we could use based on our own personalities and ways of life and own spiritual traditions that we can engage upon. We could also use technology to help us, right? This thing can really hurt us. You know, a lot of neurological studies have been done on the effects of cell phones and internet use, and it literally restructures the synapses in our brains. And often to our detriment because it causes us to have shorter and shorter attention spans. And we can't sit still, we can't pay attention, we can't actively listen. But we could also use it for good. We could use it, there are plenty of apps with different meditation techniques that walk us through it, that guide us through it. So we could kind of turn it around for our benefit. And as you do that, you'll find your mind changing, literally, physically. It changes, your attention span can grow, and your sense of calm and peace will increase throughout the day. You won't be so easily distracted, so easily annoyed. But it does take that practice, because you have to kind of undo a whole lot of bad practices that we engaged upon, especially when we were using, and even afterwards.
Maybe it's God's way of saying you need to get ready to wrap up, Edwina. So look, we can't talk about step 11, prayer meditation, without having a glimpse over the nightly review and the unawakening. The whole, nightly review, we don't get better unless we pray or meditate. Prayer and meditation are like watering a tree. You need to give it time to soak to the roots. And silence is the language of God. So, prayer, meditation, and then we have to reflect. John has a lovely little story that I was told twice, but I forget the details of it, but he's going to share it with you. But after the nightly review, so the nightly review, the whole, when we retire at night, was I selfish? Reflecting on how I was throughout the day. Was I dishonest? Was I fearful? Who did I hurt? Go through the list of questions, and then the aim for that is, what are the corrective measures? What are my corrective measures? So, it's great doing this nightly review and looking at it, but if I'm not coming into a place of really having the ability to look at my inventory, nobody else's, and ask the corrective measures, that's the goal for me when I do me inventory, whether it be the 10-step inventory or the 11-step nightly review. It's always looking for my corrective measures and take that into my morning the next day, or take that into my nightly meditation after my review, what corrective measures can be taken. We have another lovely little piece that one of the lads from SEDONA was in Holland recently, a couple of years ago. See, my brain's damaged from all the drugs. I can't retain the information, so I'll let John tell you.
As you practice prayer meditation, as you practice the principles of the program, one of the wonderful things that happens is you don't have a lot of stuff to constantly fix and clean up, because you're not causing the harm that you once did. And that should be a sign of spiritual growth. And I find one of the fruits of meditation and prayer is kind of there becomes a pause moment in my brain when I'm about ready to react in a negative way, say a harmful thing. My brain says stop, and the words don't come out. And the more I kind of practice the principles as well as prayer meditation, the more that happens. So one of the things that happens with the nightly review, we asked ourselves those questions. Where was I resentful, selfish, fearful? Do I owe an Have I kept a secret? Am I kind and loving towards all that sort of stuff? You don't have as much, which is great, which is a sign of spiritual progress. So a friend of ours, his name is Jay, lives in Sedona, and he was struggling with this. He's been sober for quite a long time, and he was actually here in Holland. I was out to a cafe with Monica from The Hague, and he said they were talking about it, and he said these questions came to him that he's now incorporated into his nightly meditation, and maybe they can help you because they kind of just take it from a different angle. So at night, and it's good to write these down and write the answers down because it'll give you a little bit of a track record. First question is, where was I generous with my time, attention, treasure, and affection? Maybe rather than asking where was I selfish, self-centered, or demanding, where was I generous with my time, attention, treasure, and affection? Now that's going to help you to look at in what ways did I practice these principles in my affairs. The second is an instance the power, our higher power, showed its presence. There are spots in every day that happens, but if we're not paying attention, we're going to miss it. And this forces us to think back through the day, where did the power show its presence? May have been in my life, in the life of another person, in a circumstances, in an event, in an unexpected occurrence. The third, the most thoughtful act my partner, my roommate, my colleague did today. We often miss the kindness that comes to us. Let me be gracious. There are a lot of people that are gracious to us, and we miss it because we're in a hurry. We're thinking about ourselves. We're being very demanding. We're not getting what we want when we want it in the way we want it. The most thoughtful act my partner, roommate, colleague, friend did for me today. And when you start thinking about it, it really touches your heart. The wonderful, thoughtful things that people could do that you almost missed. 4, where did I transcend my first thought? Where did I transcend my first thought? My first thought would be to MF you because you cut ahead of me, right? Where did I transcend that thought? My first thought would be to judge you because of what you did. Where did I transcend that thought and not go there? Again, that's going to help you to see, am I really practicing and living by the principles? And the final, what was the most beautiful thing I saw or thought today? What was the most beautiful thing I saw or thought today? That just helps you to go over the whole day. Where was I? Who was I with? What did I hear? What did I see? What did I miss it all? Did I miss all the beauty that was revealed to me today? Did I miss hearing the kindness that was expressed? And again, they become things to work on the next day. Let me pay better attention. Let me pay better attention to the circumstances of my life, of where I am, to the people who come in and out, what's being said to me, what's being offered to me, what is being told to me. So, what was the most beautiful thing I saw, thought today? This is just a different take on the nightly review, but I think it ties right back into if we're being prayerful, if we're being meditative people, then we start to become more aware, not just our negative behaviors and actions, but also the positive things that start to come into my life, the signs and the presence of the power of God that's all around us all the time, and that we so often take for granted, that we so often miss because we're just too busy with ourselves and we're just way too self-centered. This kind of pulls us right out to be other people-centered, to be God-centered.
So after making a review, we ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. So it doesn't matter. It's like what John said at the beginning. It doesn't matter if we're in sunny Arizona or rainy Ireland or bipolar weather here in Holland. As long as we just practice. The big book tells us God is deep down within every man, woman and child. It doesn't matter where we are. So let's maybe finish out right here, right now, and find that place within our own little hearts, in our own little spirits. Put your hand on your heart, maybe close down the eyes for a moment or two, and we're just going to play a little song to finish this out.
Where you can always go, come with me. Where it's all right to let your feelings show, come with me. What a pleasant journey, isn't very far. We can go together, stay right where you are. And now it's time to start. It's right here in your heart. There is a place where you can be yourself, come with me. And it's a place where you can free yourself, come with me. And you know it's waiting, not so far away, need no reservations, we could go today. Now it's time to start. It's right here in your heart. And the light shines through each window, and the door is open wide, and each question has an answer if you'll only look inside. There is a place where every sorrow ends, come with me. Where every hope and every truth begins, come with me. What a pleasant journey, isn't very far. We can go together, stay right where you are. Now it's time to start. It's right here in your heart. And now it's time to start. It's right here in your heart.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, John. We might end by joining up in a circle together in serenity prayer.